Some say she is only a legend, but in Cuba, by the Almendaz River, people swear they still hear her crying at dawn, a woman in white, soaking wet, searching for her children. And if you hear her, it may already be too late. The river was wrong that morning. Raphael had been fishing the Almendaz for 30 years, and he knew the water like he knew his own hands. He knew how it moved. He knew its moods. He knew when storms were coming long before the clouds ever appeared. But that morning, the water moved differently. It didn't ripple naturally. It flowed slow, heavy, like thick glass. Mist floated above the surface in pale patches, drifting against the breeze as if the fog had its own mind. The sun hadn't risen yet, and the world sat in a dim, silvery half-light, like the river was caught between night and morning. Raphael stood at the riverbank and hesitated. His gut told him to go home, but fishing was his life, and the river had fed his family for decades. So he pushed his small wooden boat into the water. The oar dipped in with a soft groan, and the boat glided forward. 10 meters. That's all it took, because that's when he heard it. A sob. Soft, wet, fragile. A sound like someone crying so hard they couldn't breathe. It echoed across the river, bouncing off the trees and sinking into the fog, as if the water itself was crying. Raphael froze, his grip tightened around the oar. He looked around, squinting into the mist. "Hola," he called out. "Quien anda ahí?" The crying continued. Quivering gasps, broken moans, like someone's heart was being ripped apart slowly. Raphael swallowed. He had heard animals scream before. He had heard drunk people laugh in the distance. He had heard the wind make strange noises through branches. But this was different. This was human, and it was full of pain. Then he saw her. At first, she was just a pale shape in the fog, a silhouette, tall, thin, standing in the shallow water near the edge of the river. She looked like she had risen straight from the depths. Her long black hair hung over her shoulders, dripping water as if she'd been underwater for hours. And she wore a white dress, but it wasn't clean. It clung to her body, soaked and heavy, stained dark near the bottom. Raphael's heart started pounding. His hands shook. He almost dropped the oar. "Señora," he whispered. "Are you hurt?" The sobbing stopped instantly. The woman froze, completely still. Her shoulders slowly straightened, her spine became rigid, and with unnatural slowness she lifted her head. Her hair covered her face like a curtain. Raphael held his breath. Then the hair shifted, and Raphael saw what was underneath. Her face was wrong. Her skin looked stretched tight over hollow cheeks. Her eye sockets were too deep, too dark, as if her eyes had sunken into the back of her skull. And her mouth was open, but not like a normal scream. It hung open wider than any human mouth should, a gaping oval, a hole of darkness. Her jaw trembled, then suddenly she wailed. An ear-splitting scream ripped through the fog like a knife. The sound wasn't just loud, it felt like it struck Raphael physically, like a punch to the chest. His teeth rattled, his bones vibrated. The water around the boat exploded into motion. Waves slammed against the sides. His fishing traps broke loose and clanged into the river, sinking instantly into the black depths. Raphael panicked. He tried to row away, but the woman began to move. Not walking, not running, gliding. Her feet hovered inches above the surface, and her body jerked forward in lurching spasms, like something invisible was pulling her by strings. The wail grew louder, and louder, and louder. Raphael gritted his teeth and shoved the oar into the water. Crack! The oar snapped clean in half, as if something underneath had grabbed it and broken it like a twig. The two pieces slipped from his hands and disappeared into the dark water. Raphael screamed. He reached for the edge of the boat, trying to paddle with his hands. But the sound was unbearable. He covered his ears, but it didn't matter. The scream wasn't just in the air. It crawled into his skull. It burrowed into his mind like icy claws. His vision blurred. His chest tightened. His heart raced so fast he thought it would explode. Then he felt something cold, wet. Fingers. They gripped the side of his boat. The boat jerked violently. Raphael turned his head slowly, and there she was, right beside him. Her long decayed fingers slid up the wood. Her nails were black, cracked, sharp like claws. Her face hovered inches away from his, and her expression wasn't rage. It was grief. The kind of grief that destroys a soul. Water poured endlessly from her eyes, like tears that would never stop. Her mouth twitched. Then her scream faded into a whisper that sounded like it came from the bottom of the river. "¿Dónde están mis hijos?" Where are my children? Raphael's blood turned to ice. The woman leaned closer. The air around her smelled like river rot, wet soil, and something dead. Her hand reached toward Raphael's chest, slowly, like she was choosing where to dig her nails in. Raphael tried to move, but his body wouldn't respond. He couldn't scream, he couldn't breathe, he could only stare into those hollow eyes as the river rocked the boat gently, like a cradle. And then, everything went black. Raphael was found at noon, not dead, but not alive the way a person should be. He was floating face up near the riverbank. His body shook uncontrollably. His eyes were wide open, his mouth hung open in a silent scream, frozen in terror. The fishermen who pulled him from the water said his skin felt like ice, and when they tried to speak to him, he didn't answer. He only whispered the same words over and over again. La mujer. La mujer, the woman. Raphael never went back to the river. Not once. Even when his family begged him. Even when he needed money. Even when his friends laughed at him, he refused. And at night he kept every light on in his house. Because sometimes, just before dawn, he swore he could hear it. A sob, faint, distant, coming from outside. And when he looked out his window toward the river, the mist would be there. And far away, in the fog, a pale shape, standing still, waiting. Even today, people in Havana swear they hear crying near the Almendar's river when the fog is thick. They say if you hear her close, it means she's near. But if you hear her far away, she's already behind you. Because La Llorona doesn't just cry for her children, she cries because she's still searching, still grieving, still hungry. And anyone who reminds her of the children she drowned may be taken into the river forever. If you like these stories, please like and subscribe, because we upload scary mysteries and horror legends all the time. And remember, never follow the crying into the fog.